Incredible cleaner exposes Billionaire Sheikh's secrets. Witness the life-changing truth revealed. Claire had never stepped foot in a place so lavish. As she stood before the grand doors of the Billionaire Sheikh's mansion, a swirl of emotions gripped her heart. The ivory marble gleamed under the crystal chandeliers, and golden accents lined every corner of the room. It felt surreal for a simple cleaner like her, but this job was a means to an end, a better life for her 2 children. Each morning, she woke before dawn, the weight of the world pressing on her shoulders, and scrubbing floors while the rest of Chicago slept. The thought of her kids made the aches in her back fade, even if just a little. As she worked through the sprawling halls, Claire couldn't help but notice the stark contrast between her life and the opulence surrounding her. She thought of her modest apartment back in the suburbs, the slow leaks in the bathroom sink, and the memories of scraped knees and birthday parties held in the local park. Her heart tightened at the notion that her daughter dreamed of clothes and cars that sparkled like the treasures in the Sheikh's home. The ticking clock weighed heavy on her mind. With every room she cleaned, her thoughts shifted back to her daughter's aspirations, so different from her own. Claire believed in hard work, in earning what you get, but Lily yearned for glamour, for a world cushioned by wealth. It was a rift that became harder to bridge every day, but then, in the luxury of the Sheikh's library, Claire stumbled upon something that chilled her to the bone. A thick folder slipped from a stack of personalized stationery, and as she opened it, her legs went weak. Documents laid bare the ugly truth: hidden accounts, exploitation, and families torn apart in pursuit of profit. They weren't just numbers and names, this was her world in another form. It felt like the ground beneath her shifted, sparking a moral fire that ignited her spirit. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but as she digested the information, fear began to seep in. What if she lost her job? What if she exposed something that brought danger upon her family? The temptation of silence weighed heavily, suggesting peace over truth, safety over justice. Her hands trembled as she continued to clean, thoughts racing. The tension at home thickened when Lily caught wind of her mother's work. Claire braced herself for the inevitable outburst. Why can't we live like that? Why can't you just? The frustration in her daughter's voice clashed with Claire's unwavering principles, leaving Claire feeling more isolated. Then came the confrontation. The Sheikh confronted her, his presence as dark as the secrets he wanted to bury. The air crackled with unspoken threats, and Claire's heart raced. Would she stand firm for justice, risking her family's future for what she knew to be right? Or would she yield to the fear that loomed over them like a dark cloud? As the tension drew together, a choice loomed on the horizon. Claire knew this moment would define her and her children. The doorbell rang, a chime that echoed the uncertainty in her heart. Would she uncover the truth, or would silence devour her? The stakes had never been higher. The door swung open, revealing a tall man in a slick suit, his expression unreadable. Claire felt her stomach drop. Had he come to take her away? To silence her? But as she studied him, her instincts kicked in. This wasn't just anyone, this was the Sheikh's advisor, the handler of secrets and puppeteer of transactions that kept all the ugliness buried. Miss Claire, yes. His voice was smooth, almost oily. The Sheikh would like to speak with you again. Claire's heart thudded against her chest. She glanced back into the mansion, the opulence suddenly feeling like a trap. Somewhere, in that gilded hallway filled with treasures, hid a truth that could break open lives. Yet here she was, being summoned like a toy to be played with. Gathering her nerves, she nodded slowly. Lead the way. As they walked, she tried to steady her racing thoughts. This was her chance. Maybe if she confronted him again, she could understand the extent of his operations. Maybe she could find a way to expose him without putting her family at risk. The room they entered was dimly lit, with drawn curtains that gave it an air of secrecy. The sheik sat behind an enormous wooden desk, a stark contrast to the light color of the room. His sharp features glinted under the muted light, and his gaze pierced right through her. "You've been very nosy, Claire. It's an admirable trait in someone in your position." Her breath hitched. I found some documents. Things they involve people. Families. And what do you intend to do with this knowledge?" he asked, a hint of menace curling his lips. Claire's throat felt dry as a desert. "I want to understand." "Why?" The sheik leaned back, contemplating her. "Understanding is for those with power, my dear. You need only do your job. Curiosity could be dangerous." Dangerous. The word echoed in her head. Fear clawed at her. Could she risk everything for the truth? Could she expose him and then return home safely to her children? She wouldn't know the answer until she took a step. I can't ignore what I found." "It matters," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Oh, it matters, all right," he replied, his tone darkening. "You see, Claire, what you've uncovered here is a tipping point. One wrong move, and it could spiral out of your control. Family means everything, does it not?" His words struck her like a fist. He knew how to twist the knife he was playing on her emotions, her love for Lily and Ben. But in that moment, a flicker of defiance ignited within her. "But you're hurting families. Turning lives upside down for profit. It's wrong." The sheik's expression soured, a mask of quiet fury. "And in this world, right and wrong are merely shadows of ambition. You're in over your head." She stood her ground, heart pounding. "I may be a cleaner, but I am not afraid to clean up your mess." For a fleeting moment, their eyes locked, a silent battle of wills. The tension in the room stretched until it felt almost tangible, the air thick with unspoken threats and shattered dreams. "And what if I told you," he said, his voice cold, "that your curiosity has consequences?" Her pulse quickened, the enormity of his words crashing over her. What more could he take from her? What he hinted at only fueled her fire. Just then, the phone on his desk buzzed aggressively. The sheik's attention shifted to it, and in that brief moment, Claire's heart raced. Perhaps this was the opportunity she needed. She couldn't walk away, there was too much at stake. As he answered the call, Claire's gaze darted around the room, searching for anything that could give her leverage, a way to expose the truth. But the door she had entered through swung open again, and 2 security guards filled the threshold, their presence imposing and suffocating. "Claire," the sheik's voice cut like glass. "It's time to decide. You can leave now, but don't say I didn't warn you." An inner battle waged inside her. Would she fight for what was right, risking everything? Or would she retreat, bowing to fear? Freedom felt tantalizingly close, but the danger was real. And the choice she made here could change everything. Before she could process it all, the advisor stepped forward, his expression unreadable, waiting for her answer. "Do you choose silence, or truth?" Her breath hitched, the weight of the moment overwhelming. What would it be? Would she step into the light or fade back into the shadows? In that room filled with hidden secrets, one thing was clear, the fight was just beginning. The air in the room hummed with suspense. Claire's heart clashed against her ribs, her mind racing with the implications of his question. This was at the moment she had dreaded and yearned for, rolled into one. "Do you choose silence, or truth?" His tone was sharp, like the edge of a knife ready to cut through her resolve. Claire's fingers trembled at her sides. She wanted to scream, to demand answers, but fear kept the words lodged in her throat. Silence meant retreat. It meant going back to her daily life, oblivious and naive, while families were being torn apart under the weight of the sheik's ruthless empire. But truth? It was a fire that could burn down everything in its path. Would she stand at the forefront of that blaze, knowing it could engulf her family too? Thoughts flashed to Lily and Ben. What would they think if something happened to her? The Sheikh leaned forward, dark eyes glinting with anticipation. I urge you to consider carefully, Claire. This isn't game. His words hung heavy in the air, and just then, something clicked inside her. She could either allow his threats to smother her or turn them back on him. Courage surged in her chest as she drew a deep breath. I choose truth, she said, her voice cracking but unwavering. A shadow crossed the Sheikh's face, momentarily breaking his unyielding demeanor. Are you prepared for where that path leads? Yes, Claire asserted, each word gaining strength. If the cost is exposing you for what you are, then I'll bear it. The Sheikh's laughter cut through her like ice. Do you really believe that? The people behind my power don't just vanish. They protect what's theirs. Her thoughts raced. She remembered the documents, the evidence of lives he had shattered for wealth, the stories of families torn apart. If she could bring those to light, perhaps she could find allies. Speaking the truth could shine a light on the shadows he hid behind. I don't fear you, she challenged, meeting his piercing gaze directly. You think you control everything. But the truth has a way of coming out. You know that. The Sheikh's eyes narrowed, frustration building. You are playing a dangerous game. I'm not playing, Claire replied. I'm fighting. Families deserve to know what you've done. Suddenly, the advisor stepped closer, a soft yet foreboding smile gracing his lips. Very well, then. It seems your heart beats for the truth. But remember, Claire, the truth won't guard your loved ones. Panic flared within her, but she pushed it aside. My children deserve to see honesty, not a facade. The Sheikh straightened, an air of finality settling in. Consider this a warning, the truth you seek comes at a cost. Be ready for the fallout. As he spoke, the guards shifted slightly, clearly eager to take action. The atmosphere crackled with unresolved tension, and Claire sensed it was now or never. Let the fallout come, she said, trying to project strength despite the terror pooling in her stomach. Then she turned to leave, but the advisor's voice stopped her. Are you prepared for the lives you might destroy, Claire? The innocent along with the guilty? That remark sliced deeper than any threat. She could feel the weight of it, the idea that her pursuit of truth could hurt others. The question sat like a stone in her gut, heavy and unshakable. As she stepped outside the office, her heart still racing, Claire felt the enormity of her choice wrap around her like a suffocating shroud. Would she be able to protect her family while pursuing this darkness? And in revealing the Sheikh's secrets, wouldn't she be endangering others along the way? Each step away from that room felt like a step into a whirlwind. The impact of her decision loomed over her, a shadow that refused to budge. Claire's phone buzzed silently in her pocket, an urgent reminder of her children waiting back home. Can I find the truth, and still keep them safe? She whispered to herself, the uncertainty clawing at her. Claire took a deep breath, prepared to navigate the murky waters ahead. The fight had just begun, but would she emerge with the truth? And all of her loved ones intact? As she stepped out into the cold air, the weight of the world on her shoulders, she heard a voice echo in her mind, what will it cost you? That haunting question lingered as she made her way toward a truth that might unravel everything she held dear. Claire's breath came in quick, sharp bursts as she stepped into the biting cold outside. The air felt electric, a stark contrast to the suffocating tension she'd just escaped. She could still hear the Sheikh's words echoing in her mind, the heavy weight of his warnings pressing against her thoughts. What was to come? She fiddled with her phone, the screen lighting up to reveal a text from Ben. Mom, where are you? We're worried. Her heart ached. They needed her, but now it felt like she was caught in a storm, battling forces much larger than herself. Clutching her bag tightly, she began to navigate through the crowded streets, avoiding eye contact with strangers and bathing in the anonymity of the bustling city. But every face reminded her of the families she had read about, the ones victimized by the Sheikh's empire. Each footstep reverberated with the urgency of her mission, the truth calling out to her like a siren. What would it take, she wondered, to expose his reign of fear? To shine a light on the injustices hidden in shadows? With her heart pounding, she recollected the documents stowed away safely back at home. Those pages held power, and she had to take the next step carefully. She could already envision the headlines, the uproar that would follow, but with it came the inevitable question: how many innocent lives would hang in the balance? Mom. The familiar voice broke through her swirling thoughts, grounding her. Claire turned to see Lily, with wide, concerned eyes, standing by a lamppost. Relief washed over her, tangled with fear. "Hey, sweetheart," Claire managed to smile, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Are you okay?" Lily stepped forward, brow furrowed. "You looked upset." Claire hesitated, the urge to shield her children from her reality kicking in. "I'm fine. Just had a long meeting." She ruffled Lily's hair, trying to banish her own worries. "Can we go get ice cream?" Ben chimed in, appearing from behind a nearby tree. His innocence wrapped around her like a warm blanket. "Sure," Claire replied, gaining some strength from their presence. "Let us go." As they walked, laughter bubbled up between them, Lily and Ben's voices weaving a tapestry of normalcy over Claire's tumultuous thoughts. But the truth loomed just beneath the surface, and with every joyful moment, the shadow of her decision grew heavier. How long could she keep this facade? "Mom, are you really okay?" Ben asked again, tilting his head in that way he did when he sensed something was off. "I am," Claire responded, masking the turmoil inside. "Just thinking about work." The ice cream shop came into view, and Claire caught a momentary break from the weight of her decisions. The bright sign beckoned them, the cheerful music spilling out like laughter from the past. She couldn't help but chuckle as they raced ahead, eager to indulge in their treat, but even as she savored the sweet taste of chocolate mint, a nagging thought persisted: was her pursuit of truth worth this fleeting moment of joy? Would the cost of exposing the Sheikh tear apart the very fabric of her family? Just as they settled into a booth, her phone buzzed again, this time with an unknown number flashing on the screen. Her heart dropped. Was it the Sheikh's men? Could they already be tracking her? "Who is it?" Lily asked, eyes wide with curiosity. Claire's fingers hovered over the screen, feeling the weight of every choice pressing down on her. "Someone from work," she deflected, unsure if she was lying to protect them or herself. Taking a deep breath, she opened the message. It read, "We know you spoke to the Sheikh. You need to be careful." Claire's heart raced, panic settling in. Who was watching her? And what would happen if they decided to silence her? As the laughter around her faded, a chilling thought took hold: was the truth even worth it if it put her children in danger? She swallowed hard, each second counting down to a reckoning she hadn't anticipated. In that moment, she realized that the truth was only the beginning of her battle. What other dangers lay ahead? With each breath, Claire felt the ground shifting beneath her feet. Determined to protect her family, she knew that the next move would need to be strategic. But how could she expose the layers of darkness while ensuring the light didn't turn into a raging fire threatening to consume everything she held dear? A fierce resolve built up within her, but the question gnawed at her mind: would she still be able to keep the ones she loved safe? And as doubt seeped back in, she wondered if there could ever be a perfect balance between truth and safety. The time was ticking, and Claire knew the storm was coming. Would she be ready to face it head-on? Claire felt like a puppet caught in a storm, strings pulled in every direction. Around her, the laughter of other families tangled with the clinking of ice cream scoops, yet her mind was far away. How could she enjoy this moment when shadows loomed closer? The message from the unknown number echoed in her thoughts, a fear that gripped at her heart like a vice. Lily and Ben were happily lost in their cones, oblivious to the turmoil swirling inside her. The sight of their giggles pierced through her anxious thoughts, striking a tender chord. As they traded flavors and playful arguments over whose ice cream was the best, Claire caught a glimpse of the innocence she was desperately trying to protect. But at what cost? "Hey," Mom, try mine." Ben grinned, offering his cone with a sticky hand. His enthusiasm was infectious. Claire hesitated for a heartbeat before leaning forward, savoring a taste that should have reminded her of carefree days. Instead, it served as a harsh reminder of her mounting responsibilities. "Delicious," she managed to say, forcing a smile, even as the bite of coldness from the ice cream seeped into her bones. "Let us save some room for the cookies, too," Lily exclaimed, her bright eyes sparkling at the thought. The simple joy in her daughter's voice felt like both a balm and a bittersweet reminder of the harsh realities awaiting them. As they finished their treats, Claire felt eyes on her, piercing and calculating. Shivers crawled down her spine as she glanced around the shop. Nothing seemed out of place. Yet the unease clung to her like a second skin. It took all her strength to push aside the thoughts of the Sheikh's empire creeping into their lives. "Mom, let's south walk by the park," Ben suggested. "Sure, why not?" Claire replied, masking the disquiet brewing inside her. They strolled through the park, the sounds of laughter and birds chirping surrounding them. But even the beauty of it all felt distant. She couldn't shake the heavy weight of uncertainty shrouding her family's future. The park bustled with families, children running about, the sun casting golden rays on each fleeting moment. Claire tried to lose herself in the laughter, but every echo of joy reminded her of the risks awaiting her. "Can we go on the swings?" Lily asked, her hand tugging at Claire's sleeve. "Of course," Claire replied, knowing how much they loved the little things. As they swung, she watched the world around her blur. Each kick of their legs, their faces lit with unfiltered joy, offered her a momentary escape. But even there, Claire couldn't find peace, her mind raced ahead. The Sheikh's warning loomed on the periphery of her thoughts. Would it ever feel safe to be out in the open again? What threats lurked just out of sight? She noticed two men in dark jackets leaning against a nearby tree, their eyes zeroing in on Claire. Her heart dropped. Were they truly watching her, or was she imagining it? She turned to her kids, forcing normalcy into her smile, but the playful atmosphere felt strained, like a fragile thread about to snap. The swings slowed, and she caught herself biting her lip, the urgency of her reality crashing in. "Hey, you two!" A voice broke through her thoughts, familiar and warm. It was their neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, waving as she approached. "What a lovely day! Ice cream after school." "Yeah. It was awesome," Ben exclaimed, the shadow of worry lifting slightly at their neighbor's presence. Mrs. Henderson's eyes sparkled with kindness, but Claire withheld her own smile. This sweet woman had no idea of the storm brewing in her life. "Just enjoying time together," Claire said, the words escaping her lips like a protective shield, but Mrs. Henderson paused, her eyes scanning Claire's face. "You look a bit pale, dear. Everything all right?" "Just tired," Claire responded, an involuntary stoop to her shoulders giving away her stress. "Life can be a lot sometimes," Mrs. Henderson replied, placing a reassuring hand on Claire's arm. "Let me know if you need anything. We're all in this together." The warmth in her tone tugged at Claire's heart, a reminder of the community that surrounded them. But what if she drew them into danger with her truth? Claire's gaze shifted back to the two men. Were they still watching? As she excused herself from the conversation, she realized that she couldn't hide from this any longer. Claire's mind was made up whatever risks lay ahead, she had to confront them. For her children's sake. "Hey, let us go grab dinner," Claire suggested. "How about pizza?" "Yes." They cheered in unison, and Claire felt a shred of hope. But as they walked away, fresh laughter trailing behind them, her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Ben. It read, "Why do you look worried, Mom? You're not hiding something from us, right?" Her heart sank. Did they know too much? Did the kid sense the danger? She quickened her pace, the urgency building within her. The walls were closing in, and she was running out of time. Would her family survive this hidden war, or would they become another casualty? In that moment, Claire pledged to uncover the truth, not just for herself, but for Lily and Ben. It was time to face the real storm brewing just beyond the safety of her home. But what would be the price of their safety? As they arrived at the pizza parlor, the familiar scent of melting cheese and fresh dough filled the air, momentarily distracting Claire from the suffocating anxiety that had wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. She searched for a spark of hope in the restaurant's bright lights and buzzing conversations, but the shadows still lurked in her mind, uninvited. "Look, Mom. They have heart-shaped pizzas," Ben exclaimed, pointing excitedly at the wall menu. Claire forced herself to smile, like a mother holding onto a precious thing while facing an impending storm. "How cool. Let us share one," she said, trying to lean into the joy she saw on their faces. As they settled into a booth, Claire forced herself to push away thoughts of the message that rattled her to the core. She wanted to lose herself in the moment, the laughter, the playful jabs over toppings, and the way Lily's eyes sparkled when she caught a piece of pepperoni in midair. If only that unease would fade, if only she could pretend everything was fine, just for a little while longer. "Mom, do we have ice cream for dessert too?" Lily chirped, her enthusiasm bubbling over like sauce in the oven. Claire nodded vigorously. "Of course. We can make it a pizza and ice cream night. What a combo." But before she could fully lean into the moment, her phone buzzed again. She glanced at it instinctively. An unknown number lit up on the screen, and dread washed over her. "Not now, please. Mom." Ben's voice pierced through her fog. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, sweetheart, just checking something," she said, deliberately keeping her tone light. She put the phone down, but the tension in her shoulders didn't ease. She couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The two men from the park resurfaced in her mind. Who were they? It felt like a bad movie playing in the background. When the pizza arrived, it looked as good as it smelled. The aroma enveloped her, and Lily eagerly offered her a piece. Claire took it, forcing herself to focus on the laughter and conversations around the table, but Claire's heart was racing. Every time the door swung open, she flinched, half expecting someone from her past to come barging through. The Sheikh's empire loomed like a dark cloud over her otherwise sunny evening. "Look, Mom. I can do this," Ben shouted, attempting to balance a slice of pizza on one finger. Claire laughed along with him, despite the tension twisting in her stomach. The camaraderie didn't last long. Her phone buzzed once more, this time vibrated a little too long. She took a deep breath and glanced down. The message read, "We know where you are. Don't think you can hide." Panic gripped her once more, and all the laughter around her faded as her heart thudded in her chest. Her mind raced. Who were they? Did they truly know what she was hiding? Claire's gaze darted around the busy parlor, her senses heightened. Ben and Lily were still laughing, still in their innocent bubble. Could she keep them safe? Hidden within this facade, or had their family already been marked? Mom, Ben's voice broke through her thoughts again. What's wrong? She looked at her children, their trust in her evident, and she felt a surge of determination. After all, she had come this far. She couldn't let shadows take away the light in their lives. "Nothing, honey. How about we have a family meeting after dinner?" Claire proposed, her voice steady, despite the fear twisting inside her. "Okay," they said in unison, oblivious to the weight of her words. As their laughter resumed, Claire felt an unfamiliar resolve stealing her heart. She knew it was time to confront the past, to unravel the threads that connected them to an empire she had tried to escape. But just as she began to find her footing, the front doors swung open. Claire's breath caught in her throat as two familiar figures stepped inside, scanning the room like hawks searching for prey. She recognized their faces instantly. What had she done to draw their attention? Next to her, Lily's laughter faded. "Mom. Stay close," Claire whispered. The battle for their safety was just beginning, and she was about to dive deeper into the storm than she had ever imagined. Would she be able to protect her children, or would the storm sweep them all away? Her heart raced, pumping urgency through her veins as the figures of the two men loomed near the entrance. They were still scanning the room, hunched and tense, a menacing shadow that threatened to eclipse their warm gathering. Claire's instincts kicked in, a primal response to the danger lurking just beyond her immediate grasp. "Mom, what is going on?" Ben asked again, his voice edged with worry. Claire turned her attention back to him, fighting to maintain her composure. "Just relax, okay? We're having a good time." "Keep eating your pizza," she replied, forcing a smile, hoping to contain the quivering walls of their sanctuary just a little longer, but as the men started walking toward her booth, the laughter and clinking of plates faded into a dull roar in her mind. The restaurant, once bursting with life, felt like a stage set for a tragic play. "Claire," one of the men called, his voice slicing through the noise, chilled and familiar. A wave of dread washed over her, an old fear resurfacing from the depths. She stood, her legs trembling as she tried to block his path. "What do you want?" The words came out sharper than she intended, a protective instinct kicking in. "Just a chat, Claire," he said, his tone casual, though his eyes told a different story. They were cold, empty. "We've missed you." Lily clutched at Claire's arm, her small fingers tightening, sensing the tension. "Mom, keep eating, honey. I'll be right back," she managed to say, even as her mind raced. Where would she find the strength to protect her children from this darkness? "You may want to take this conversation outside," the second man suggested, his gaze unwavering. Claire noticed the slight shift in the crowd's energy, heads were turning, whispers scattered. This wasn't just about her anymore. "Are you serious?" "Here," Claire said incredulously, glancing nervously around at the other diners. "You're going to scare the kids." They exchanged glances before the first man shrugged, as if unconcerned by who might overhear. "If you care for your children, you'll listen to us. This is important," he pressed. An ominous threat hung in his words, slithering its way into her mind. With every fiber of her being, Claire didn't want to escalate the situation. But she also couldn't allow the storm in her life to invade their innocent world. "We'll talk once we're done here," she insisted, her voice steadying with resolve. "You need to leave us alone." The men's smiles were thin, almost predatory. "We'll find you, Claire. You know that." Suddenly, Ben piped up, "Mom, I'm done. Can we get ice cream now?" His innocent excitement momentarily cut through the tension, but it wasn't enough to disperse the cold reality standing before her. "Can we, please?" Lily added, her face bright with childish anticipation. Claire wanted to swallow the fear trapping her in place. "Of course. Just a Claire, don't test us," the first man interrupted, stepping closer, his presence suffocating. "We'll give you time, but you should know the clock is ticking." With that, they turned and walked away, leaving an icy silence in their wake. Claire's heart pounded wildly in her chest as she tried to gather herself, forcing a smile for her children. "Hey, let us go get that ice cream now," she said brightly, though the vibration of panic coursed through her. "Okay." They cheered, blissfully unaware of the darkness that loomed just footsteps away. As she walked with them toward the ice cream counter, dread sat heavily in her chest. She felt eyes upon her, the lingering gaze of those men still weighing down the moment. The thought of running flashed through her mind. Should they leave the restaurant? Get out of town? But when she looked down at her children, glowing with innocence and joy, she knew she had to stand her ground. "I want to let them take us away," she whispered to herself, gripping the counter tightly. "I need to find a way to protect them." Just as Claire made that silent vow, her phone buzzed again, an alarming repetitiveness that had her gripping the edge of the counter like a lifeline. She turned the screen over with a shaking hand, her heart racing anew. "Claire, this is just the beginning," read a new message from the unknown number, chilling and cryptic. In that moment, a familiar fear churned inside her, a relentless echo of a past she thought she could outrun. But deep down, a spark ignited. It was time to confront the storm directly, not just for herself but for her children. They were worth every risk, every battle. In the chaotic heart of the pizza parlor, Claire took a deep breath and steeled herself. She wasn't backing down now. But was she prepared for the consequences of facing her past head-on, and could she find the allies she desperately needed? Claire's pulse raced as a mix of dread and determination surged through her. The chilling message still gripped her thoughts. With every step toward the ice cream counter, she felt an urgent need to shield her children from the shadows threatening to engulf them. "Mom, can I get chocolate this time?" Ben's voice was bright, filled with innocence. It tugged at her heart, a stark contrast to the darkness that loomed just beyond. "Sure, sweetie. You can get whatever you want," she replied, trying to project a calm she didn't feel. As they approached the colorful display, Claire's gaze flicked nervously toward the entrance, half expecting to see the men reappearing. "Wow, look at all the flavors!" Lily exclaimed, her eyes lighting up. Claire forced a smile, but not without a pinch of guilt. While her daughter delighted in the moment, Claire felt the weight of her burdens, her need to protect them, to shield their joy from the storm that threatened to break. "Why don't we get some for Dad too?" Claire suggested, hoping to distract them. Maybe a treat would turn this night around. "Yeah. He loves mint chocolate chip," Ben exclaimed with glee, and for a moment, Claire felt a flicker of normalcy. She reached for the girl behind the counter. "Can we have 3 scoops of chocolate, 1 mint chocolate chip, and, what do you want, Lily?" "Cookie dough." Both kids chimed in unison, and Claire chuckled softly, the simple laughter warming her heart. As they collected their treats, Claire's mind raced. What would she do if those men came back? How could she shield her children from this chaos without letting them see her fear? When she turned back around, the restaurant felt like a world apart, and for a brief moment, her worries receded into the background. But that comfort was fleeting. She felt an icy shiver run down her spine. The men were back, standing across the room, their eyes locked onto her. "Claire," the voice called again. The sound wasn't just a call, it was a command. Her heart sank as she watched the other diners glance their way, faces marked with confusion and tension stirring in the air like a rising tide. Ben and Lily stood oblivious, laughing over their ice cream, and for a heartbeat, all Claire could think about was keeping that smile on their faces. She could feel the panic rising inside her, but she forced it down. "Stay right here, okay?" she whispered urgently. They both nodded, their faces smeared with ice cream delight as she stepped away to confront the inevitable. Meeting the gaze of the men felt like stepping into the eye of the storm. "You shouldn't have kept us waiting," the first man said slowly, his smile devoid of warmth. "We have a lot to discuss." "Not here," Claire replied firmly, desperation turning into determination. "You scared my kids. Whatever you want, talk to me somewhere they can't see." The second man weighed her words for a moment, paused, and for the first time, she saw something like understanding cross his face. "Fine. But not for long." She took a shaky breath, her heart pounding as she gestured to a quieter corner of the pizzeria. "Let us talk," she said, measuring her own courage, feeling the invisible walls of her sanctuary beginning to close in. As they moved, she could hear laughter from her children, simple and pure. It tugged at something deep within her, fierce and protective. "Time's running out," the first man cautioned, drawing her focus back. "This is your last chance to cooperate before things get messy." Messy, the word hung in the air, reminding Claire that her old life was inching closer, the consequences of her past intertwining with her present. What would she say? What secrets might they expose? She felt her throat tight with fear, but as she turned her back to the children, she whispered, "I want to let you take us." The gravity of her words settled in the air between them, heavy and charged. And as they stepped into the quieter corner, with her heart racing and the stakes rising, Claire realized this was only the beginning of a battle she had long tried to avoid. But she'd face it, not just for herself, but for her kids. Could she really confront the secrets that had haunted her and emerge unscathed? "Let us get to it," she said, her voice firmer than she felt. Little did she know, lurking around every corner were twists she could never have anticipated, and the truth might be more painful than the lies she had sheltered under for so long. Claire felt the air around her grow thick as they settled into the corner booth, the fluorescent lights making everything seem sharper, harder. The ice cream shop, once a sanctuary of laughter and delight, now felt like a cage. She could still hear her children giggling, their innocence a soothing balm amid the chaos swirling in her mind. "Let us cut to the chase," the first man said, leaning forward, his eyes narrowing. "You know who we are. You think hiding 1T work forever?" Claire swallowed hard, her pulse quickening. "What do you want?" Her directness surprised even her, but she had no time for games. "You have information," he pressed, his voice low and menacing. "Information that impacts more than just your little family. The clock is ticking. Either you give us what we want, or we dig deeper. Trust me, it won't be pretty." Her throat was dry, fear clawing at her insides. What information could they possibly want? Claire's past was riddled with choices she wished she could erase, decisions made under duress. But her children, they deserved better. They'd already faced too much. "I don't know anything," she insisted, the tremor in her voice betraying her. "You're wrong." The second man, quiet until now, unfurled a piece of paper, sliding it across the table like a death sentence. "This says otherwise." His eyes were cold, calculating. Claire's gaze fell on the document, and her breath caught in her throat. Names. Dates. Connections. All linked to her in a web she thought she'd escaped. "You have to understand," she said quickly, scrambling to regain her footing. "That was a different time, a different me. I'm just trying to rebuild. Please, don't do this." They exchanged looks, amusement flickering briefly across their faces. "A different you?" The first man scoffed. "That's what we all say, Claire. But the past is always lurking, and it's here, ready to pounce." She clenched her fists, summoning the molten courage inside her. "If you think I'm going to let you hurt my children, you're mistaken. I was scared back then, but now, I've got something worth fighting for." Her resolve ignited a glimmer of surprise in their expressions, an opening she had to seize. "What do you want with me? Money? Leverage? Or are you just trying to settle an old score? I'm not the same person I was. We can work something out." The first man leaned closer, the threat palpable. "You think you're safe because you're a mom now? That doesn't mean anything in our world. If we can't reach you, we'll go after your loved ones." The ultimatum hung in the air, dark and suffocating. Claire's heart raced. Fear for her children jolted through her veins, igniting a fierce resolve. She refused to let anything threaten their happiness. "I will protect my family at any cost," she declared, surprising even herself with the strength in her voice. "If you want something from me, fine. Tell me what it is, and we'll negotiate. But I'm drawing a line. You'll never harm them." The air between them crackled with tension, the men clearly surprised by her unexpected defiance. It was a gamble, but she had no other choice. Either she stood her ground, or she lost everything. "We want you to help us expose someone," the second man finally spoke, the smirk returning to his lips. "A much bigger fish than you, Claire. A billionaire who thinks his past is hidden. But we can't do it without you." The world around them faded as Claire processed the weight of his words. Was this her way out? A chance to rewrite her story? What's the catch? She asked, knowing too well that there was always a price to pay. "Just your full cooperation. You'll have to use that motherly charm to reel him in," he replied smoothly, satisfaction dancing in his eyes, Claire's mind raced. Could it really be that easy? Or was this just another trap? For her children, she resolved to explore this dark path, no matter the risk. As the laughter of Ben and Lily drifted from the counter, she took a deep breath. She could feel the heat of determination swelling inside her. What do I have to lose? She whispered, her heart pounding, but as she nodded, accepting the proposal, a chilling question gnawed at her. Was she trading her family's safety for a chance to step back into a world that might consume her again? With that thought echoing in her mind, Claire felt the walls close in once more, suffocating yet thrilling. What secrets awaited her in the shadows of the past, and how far was she willing to go to uncover the truth? The weight of her decision crashed against Claire's chest like a tidal wave, pulling her under with thoughts of her children. She could feel the tension in the air thickening as those two men watched her with predator-like intensity. They were about to lead her down a path, one she wasn't sure she could navigate without collateral damage. "Let us not waste time," the second man said, his tone dripping with impatience. "The Sheikh isn't the only one with secrets. You help us, and we'll protect your family. Simple as that." A shiver rolled down Claire's spine. Could she really trust them? But deep down, she knew she was at a crossroads. The Sheikh and his empire were a luxurious web woven with deception, and now that she had seen the truth, it consumed her thoughts. Could this be the key to freeing her family from the looming shadows? "Okay," she said, summoning the courage she felt was rapidly dwindling. "I'll do it. But you promise to keep my kids out of this." Their satisfaction was palpable, an undercurrent of triumph that made her skin crawl. "We will ensure their safety, Claire. You have our word. But it's imperative you understand the gravity of what you're stepping into. We need full commitment." Claire nodded, swallowed hard, and extended her hand, shaking on a deal that felt more like shackles. Those men weren't just playing a game, they were the gatekeepers to a world she had been trying to escape for years. But now, that world was bursting back into her life like a restless spirit. As she stepped back toward her kids, laughter floated in from the ice cream counter. Ben and Lily were still lost in their bubble of happiness, their innocence so pure yet so fragile. Claire felt a fierce protector's instinct deep in her bones. As she approached them, she gathered their small faces in her hands, basking in the warmth of their smiles. "Hey, you two. How about we get home and have a little movie night? We can all snuggle up and watch that animated film you love," she suggested, clutching her purse tightly, masking her unease under a facade of normalcy. "Yay! Can we have popcorn?" Lily's eyes sparkled with pure joy. "And candy?" "Of course." Claire chuckled, her heart swelling with love for her children, even as the pit in her stomach twisted tighter. On the ride home, she felt like a tightrope walker, trying to balance between two worlds. The children chatting away in the back seat grounded her, their banter easing the knot in her chest. But she couldn't let the thrill of their laughter drown out the severity of the choice she had made. Once they were home, Claire ushered them into the living room. The familiar setting felt surreal, as if the walls knew the secrets she now kept. They settled in with bowls of popcorn and snuggled under blankets. Claire watched their faces illuminated by the glow of the screen, a sense of calm washing over her. This was the life she fought for. This was worth protecting, but even as she tried to immerse herself in the movie, her heart raced with the knowledge of the task ahead. Soon, she would have to face the Sheikh himself, and the thought sent adrenaline coursing through her veins. How could she expose him without endangering her family? Later that night, as the credits rolled and her children drifted off to sleep, Claire felt her resolve harden. She pulled out the documents she had stowed away, feeling the weight of each page. Each line told a story of pain and deception, tales of families like hers caught in the crossfire, but she wouldn't allow the Sheikh to write another chapter of suffering. "I'm going to end this," she whispered to the stillness of the night. No more secrets. The following days turned into a whirlwind of planning. With her children in school, Claire found ways to gather information, leveraging contacts and piecing together the threads of alliances that could help her. She trained herself to navigate the treacherous waters, balancing a facade of normalcy while steeling her heart for the impending confrontation. The final moment came faster than expected. Claire stood before the imposing doors of the Sheikh's mansion, her heart pounding yet resolute. She was armed with evidence and the knowledge that what she was doing could expose the darkness that had gripped her life for too long. As the doors swung wide, she stepped into the gleaming foyer that had once felt so alien. Now, it felt like a battlefield. The Sheikh appeared, an air of arrogance surrounding him, but Claire was determined. She wouldn't waver. Claire, he greeted with his rich, smooth voice, tainted with a mocking lilt. Back for more, I see. No games, she replied, holding her ground. I have something to say, something you need to hear. What could a cleaner like yourself possibly have to offer? He sneered, her heart raced, but she met his piercing gaze head-on. The truth doesn't care about your title or wealth. You've built your empire on the backs of vulnerable families, and it's time to account for that. The tension crackled like a live wire. He stepped forward, and for a moment, she felt the air around them shift, thickening with unspoken threats. What do you think will happen if you expose me? You should know that powerful people aren't easily toppled, he warned, his voice icy. The truth is powerful, Claire shot back, her voice steadier than she felt. And I'm done living in fear. I know what you've done. She watched as his expression turned twisted, surprise morphing into rage. His grip on power was slipping, and for the first time, Claire saw the cracks beneath his polished exterior. I warn you, Claire, he hissed. You have no idea what you've unleashed. Maybe. She held up the documents she had gathered. But I'm ready. You can't hide behind wealth forever. The confrontation came swiftly after. Claire learned quickly that she was not alone in this fight. Her newfound allies, the men who had watched her every move, had set a trap that the Sheikh couldn't escape. She discovered a network of families willing to come forward, each one with their own story, each fight tied to hers. As the walls of his fortress crumbled, Claire felt exhilaration coursing through her. It was finally done. His empire began to fall apart, and she stood witness to the liberation of lives he had once exploited. Days turned into weeks. The upheaval drew public attention and sparked community outrage, exposing the darkness festering in the shadows. Her children remained blissfully unaware of the storm she had weathered, but Claire felt a peace settling over her for the first time in years. I'm proud of you, Mom, Lily said one afternoon, looking up at her with bright eyes. They were playing their favorite board game, and Claire couldn't help but smile. I'm proud of you, too, she replied, wrapping her arms around her children and honoring the new foundations they were building. In that moment, Claire realized that the truth wasn't just a weapon but a lifeline, a path leading to healing and hope. The shadows that had once consumed her life were finally retreating, and she stood with her family in the light of a brand new dawn. As she watched her children giggle and play, Claire knew she'd never look back. Her fight wasn't just for her freedom but for all those caught in the storm. She had stepped into the light, and her heart swelled with renewed courage. Their laughter filled the room, echoing her own triumph. This was a fresh start, a chance to rewrite their future, and Claire was finally ready to take it on. If you're inspired by Claire's journey, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories, leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help the channel grow, comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. Only true fans understand the importance of these actions.